Drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, known for repeatedly escaping from Mexican prisons, is now at a federal prison in Florence, considered escape-proof. In today's video, we're going to look at how insane is El Chapo's new prison cell security to keep him locked up for life. Number 4. Colorado Supermax is worse than death. Guzman, 62, arrived July 19th at Administrative Maximum U.S. Penitentiary, or ADX, in Florence after he was sentenced to 2 days earlier to life plus 30 years in prison. The drug lord's incarceration at the nation's highest security prison, nicknamed the Alcatraz of the Rockies, detention on the prison that critics consider an incubator for mental illness. He joined some of the nation's most notorious offenders already at the prison, including Unabomber Ted Krasinski, Oklahoma City bombing conspirator Terry Nichols, and 1993 World Trade Center bomber Ramzi Youssef. Guzman has proven to be a wily prisoner. In 2001, he was smuggled out of a top-security Mexican prison in a laundry basket. In 2015, he escaped from Altiplano in central Mexico, where he slipped into an escape hatch beneath his shower and rode a motorcycle through a mile-long, hand-dug tunnel to freedom. Clearly, the federal government is very concerned about his ongoing contact with just about anyone, since they fear he will send messages related to drug smuggling, said Dr. Terry Coopers, a psychiatrist who wrote a book about the psychological impact of long-term solitary confinement at Supermax. Prison inmates have been diagnosed with insanity while incarcerated there, or already existing conditions of mental illness have worsened, according to a 2012 class action lawsuit against the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. Prisoners have been known to interminably wail and bang on the walls of their cells, the lawsuit claims. One of Guzman's trial attorneys, Jeffrey Lichtman, said Supermax conditions amounted to more torture. It's just awful. Even Robert Hood, a Supermax warden between 2002 and 2005, offered harsh criticisms of the facility. "This is not built for humanity. I think that being there day by day, it's worse than death," he said. Number 3. Insane security. All 400 inmates at the ADX spend 23 hours a day in soundproofed cell, and then have one heavily supervised hour of rec time. Their supervised hour of rec time is observed while both handcuffed and shackled. Phones are banned, and there is an extremely limited version of television available, meaning black and white recreational, religious, and educational programming. Everything in the cell is made of stone and is structurally attached to the wall or floor. The bed is made of concrete with a small pad as a mattress. A small concrete stool is molded to the ground, and a couple of small shelves jut out from the wall near their in-cell sink. The design of every cell is centered around eliminating threats. Some cells have a shower to further limit contact with guards, but they have a timer to eliminate the threat of flooding. The toilet shuts off if blocked. The sink has no tap. The reason the exercise area is sunken to the ground is to stop prisoners from knowing their exact location in the jail, to help prevent them hatching escape plans. Their ultra-narrow cell windows are designed with a similar purpose, as inmates can only see the sky and roof through them, so they can't determine where they are within the prison complex. The concrete cells are also soundproof, so prisoners can't communicate with other inmates using Morse code. The cell also has an electric light that is controlled by the guards, and inmates usually get a radio. Those wanting to break in and help free someone face formidable barriers. The prison has motion detectors, pressure pads, cameras, 1,400 remote control steel doors, and 12-foot tall razor wire fences patrolled by heavily armed guards. Number 2. Where El Chapo will be housed. Right after his sentencing, in which he received life in prison plus 30 years, he just disappeared. That's because on his way to prison, the safest bet was to take him to an undisclosed location. Even Guzman's lawyer didn't know where he was. It was later revealed that he ended up at what's called America's highest security prison. That is the United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility in Florence, Colorado. It's known in short as ADX Florence. This is where the worst of the worst go. In prison terms, it's the end of the road. There are way more guards here to the number of inmates than at other prisons. Most of Supermax's 400-plus inmates are alone for 23 hours a day in 7 by 12-foot reinforced concrete cells. Massive 12-gun guard towers overlook the prison. The Amnesty International report said the cells have an interior barred door as well as a solid outer door, compounding the sense of isolation. Prisoners eat all meals in their cells, and most cells have a shower and a toilet, minimizing the need for inmates to leave. Cell furniture includes a small desk stool and bed made from concrete. Beds have thin mattresses. Each cell has a window that is 42 inches tall and 4 inches wide, without mountain views. Many cells have a radio and black and white television that offers religious and educational programming. All outside visits are non-contact, with prisoners separated from their visitors by a glass screen. Supermax has an ultra-secure unit, so-called Range 13, a 4-cell wing in the prison's disciplinary unit, where prisoners have virtually no human contact. They are under camera surveillance 24 hours a day and get one 15-minute non-legal phone call a month. e.l.f. lived in Range 13 for more than 7 years, the Amnesty International report said. It's a no-brainer that Guzman's new home is one of the Range 13 cells, Hood said. He predicted Guzman will be a very compliant prisoner who will develop friendships with officers over the course of years as he seeks to escape. To me, there is no doubt he will try to escape. As far as his job is, it's to get out. I think he'll test the system, Hood said. Nearly complete isolation will test Guzman's resilience, if not his sanity, Cooper says. He said he can't predict how solitary confinement will impact Guzman, but prisoners subjected to long-term isolation experience panic, paranoia, compulsive behaviors, irrational anger, and despair. Despite its extreme security measures, Supermax is still a very dangerous prison. Guzman, who headed the powerful Mexican Sinaloa drug cartel, won't be the only drug boss at Supermax, where rival gang leaders have battled each other. On April 21, 2005, gangland leader Richard Chuco Santiago and an accomplice stomped and beat Mexican mafia prison gang leader Manuel Tati Torres, 64, leaving him with 18 broken ribs and a cracked skull. His eyes were swollen shut. Torres died of his injuries. Though it is yet to be seen how long Guzman will remain in isolation at Supermax, there is good reason to suggest it will be a long time. Number 1. Escape. Impossible. It's escape-proof is what most people say, and it's not a nice place to end up. From an operational perspective, it's the most secure prison on Earth. This prison is in a remote location. There's not much for miles around. Guzman has had visitors, but only his lawyer and his 2 daughters have been allowed to see him. He cannot actually touch anyone who visits him. He told his lawyer because of the oppressive conditions he regularly throws up, has headaches, and also sinus trouble. He says it's very hard to sleep because the lights are on all the time. What are the chances of Mr. Guzman escaping from the place nicknamed the Alcatraz of the Rockies? Let's think about it. If he were to get out of his cell, maybe he'd have to do that by bribing a guard. But they have been vetted. Perhaps the only way a guard would offer him help would be because Guzman's men had kidnapped his family. But as only one man moves at a time, that prisoner is being watched from the control room. We just don't think he could go out of the front door. He certainly couldn't get past those pressure pads, the guards in the towers, the guards with the dogs, and over a massive fence that would cut him to pieces. All the time, everything is caught on CCTV. He would need a small army on the outside, and since the location is in the middle of nowhere, that army would be seen. Even if he employed some great hackers to hack the prison system and open the doors, he'd still have to face heavily armed guards. We couldn't see this happening outside of a Hollywood movie, but prisoners do have rights to see medical professionals, never mind how secure they are. This is the U.S. law, so perhaps an escape could be made if El Chapo had to make a trip to a hospital. Possibly a catastrophic event such as an earthquake or a fire could result in an escape, but this is pretty unlikely. If prisoners were suddenly removed from their cells, they'd be shackled, so they wouldn't get anywhere fast. In conclusion, we think that El Chapo won't be going anywhere. This prison is techno fortress that no man could escape from. The only scenario that he gets out is in a screenplay which involves a apocalyptic event shutting down all the systems and the guards being eaten by monsters, after which El Chapo sneaks out the back door and begins a mission of survival. He'll be doing no digging out of prison this time, and no one will be holding out their hand and accepting a bribe. According to my opinion, it's kinda hard to not get bribed by somebody that can wipe out your entire bloodline. Do let us know in the comment what you think of it. Please subscribe to the Luxury World. Thanks for watching.